Ever since the demonetization move 50 days ago, government employees, bank employees, of course, tell us that they are the most neglected of the lot in this entire exercise.
From day one, that is 10th of November till this day, RBI has not provided enough cash to the banking system.
We have to say no number of times because our regular customer now they are facing so many problems they are facing.
बहुत सारे रिस्ट्रिक्शंस है हर कस्टमर को कैश बांटने के लिए बैंकों के अंदर कैश ही नहीं है।
नहीं चलेगा नहीं चलेगा नहीं चलेगा बंद करो धोखाधड़ी बंद करो बंद करो बंद।
It seems that the situation is only going to get more worse from here as the current currency is not being provided in the banks, because of which not only are the customers suffering but it is also the bank employees.
The customers are angry with the bank employees as if bank employees are responsible for the troubles which they are facing.
कि इनके पास sufficient supply देने के लिए money printed ही नहीं है.
Some of our branch in central bank, the glass pane doors were broken by the customers, angry customers, because we are not in a position to give them money.
आपको विश्वास दिलाते हैं, बैंक कर्मचारी खड़े हो चुके हैं, अधिकारी खड़े हो चुके हैं, गवर्नमेंट को घुटने टेकने पड़ेंगे.
And bank employees are put under undue pressure.
We used to close our counters even in the half the day because of the no cash at us.
Fresh cash is not coming in the form of 10s, 50s or 20s. So we are unable to give their requirement. So anger falls on the bankers.
48 days into demonetization, viewers, and those are bank employees who've taken to the streets to say enough is enough. Very, very vocal protests happening across the country as they gathered outside of RBI offices to protest against their own regulator, to say that you cannot put us in this position, that bank employees are being put in an impossible situation. Bank employees also calling out the government's bluff, saying that the RBI has been putting out messages, the government has been putting out messages saying there's enough cash in the system. But when the customer approaches the bank, it then falls on the bank employee to handle the anger and the disappointment of the customer on the ground. Bank employees now saying that if they do not have some sort of a solution from the government immediately, that they will go on strike in early January. The latest group of people to throw up their hands and say enough is enough are the banking employees. Is it too early to say demonetization has failed? Joining me on the show this evening is Zafar Islam Spokesperson of the BJP, Sanjay Jha Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Dr.Santosh Mehrotra Professor of Economics at JNU, Banninthaya, the President of the All India Banking Officers Association in Bangalore, will join us through the course of this conversation. Prasenjit Bose Economist, joining me from Kolkata, Mr. Venkatachalam, General Secretary of the All India Banking Employees Association in Chennai, joins us from Chennai. I'll go first to Mr. Venkatachalam, speaking on behalf of banking employees in Chennai.
Yes.
What is the protest about, and what is happening right now among the banking unions?
See, the point is, suddenly the government announced the demonetization. That's okay. They said that we want to curb black money, they want to take out the fake notes. It's okay, that's a different issue. But consequently, we find that banking industry is in a turmoil. Number one, for the first 10 days or so much of rush for exchanging notes, unmindful of the problems. We put up with the difficulties, somehow we have served the customers. Now we are facing another type of problem. For the past 15-20 days, we are finding that customers are coming and RBI, whatever they assure, 24,000 rupees can be drawn per week. We are not able to give because we don't get supply. Reserve Bank is simply making a statement, enough supply is there, but virtually hardly 20-30% of the requirement we get in the branches, and that's putting us in a lot of problems. Customers, we feel for them because we exist for them, but they are not able to draw their money. And now that marriage season, festival season, harvest season is coming, so more money flow is required. They are crippling the money supply, but they say there is enough money. That is not happening, and so customers are suffering, employees are suffering. We just want to put an end to that. The government has to do something, otherwise we have to raise our hands up.
Mr. Venkatachalam, the government has told us that when the 50-day deadline expires, which will happen in 3 days, that everything will be back to normal. Do you believe that everything will be back to normal in 3 days?
Yeah. I totally disbelieve that, because even the government said, Prime Minister said, within 48 hours all ATMs will be functional. Now 48 days are over. Hardly 30-40% of the ATMs are working, that also without cash. So what is the point? Because of all these ATMs, now the branches have become smaller, employees have become lesser. Now entire crowd is shifted within the premises. We are unable to manage that. And nothing has happened. Similarly here, when out of 14 lakh crores of 500 and 1000 rupee denomination withdrawn, hardly some 4 lakh crore cash has come inside. So there is a shortage of about 10 lakh crore. So if nothing was going to happen, problem will continue. Somehow government is trying to divert the attention by saying you go digital, all these things. We have seen the credit card, debit card problem 2 months ago. About 30 lakh cards, they were all tampered with. And
let me bring in Prasenjit Bose. It's true, Mr. Venkatachalam pointing out.
It's going to aggravate the problem.
Yes, Mr. Venkatachalam pointing out that he doesn't believe that the problem will be solved in the next 3 days, that the 50-day deadline of short-term pain will actually be met. Prasenjit Bose joining us from Kolkata. Do you believe that this is short-term pain? Do you believe that it can be solved and normalcy can return into our system?
Well, I don't think that the pain can any longer be called a short-term pain, because, what is the definition of the short-term? It's very clear that the Prime Minister's deadline will be over in another 48 hours, and the solutions to the problem is nowhere in sight. And unfortunately, what we are witnessing over the past almost 10 days now is that the Reserve Bank of India has stopped putting out the data in the public domain. So nobody actually knows how much money is being deposited. Nobody knows how much new cash has been released to the, through the system, and what the exact nature, the quantum of the shortfall, in cash is. And this non-transparency is arising precisely because the government's estimates have gone haywire. It's more than clear that whatever their initial, when the Prime Minister said 50 days, they must have had some arithmetic in mind, and that arithmetic has turned out to be wrong. So this pain is going to be prolonged, and that is precisely why they are being economical with the facts now. They are not coming out clean on how this problem is going to be solved. And I fully empathize with the bank employees, the bank officers, and all others who are working day and night. The problem is that the government has failed them, and now even the data is not coming out. The public is being kept in the dark. And what can I say? I mean, this just speaks volumes about the kind of government that we are having in our country.
This piece of data that we've received from the RBI says during the period of November 10th to December 7th, 4,27,684 crore rupees was issued to the public.
Today is December. Today.
Yeah.
That is December 7th.
December
so that is the
7th.
point.
20 days ago, we have not received any data.
Yes. Data has come.
For 20 days, we have not received any data. Dr.Santosh Mehrotra, Professor of Economics, JNU, bank employees being put in an absolutely impossible position that they did not sign on for.
Sorry, repeat your question.
My question to you, sir, is that bank employees did not sign up for this kind of stress. They did not sign up to be put in this impossible position where they have to tell their customers, listen, absolutely, I don't have any money, when they've been told by the government and the RBI that there is enough cash in the system that you can go to your bank and access it if you want to.
No, but anyone who knew any arithmetic knew from day one that we had eliminated 2,300 units or pieces of notes, and you can print only 300 pieces of notes per month. So it was obvious from day one that the complete substitution of the 15.44 crores that was taken out was going to take at least 7 months. In order, the fact that nearly 5,000 crores has been released is primarily because 2,000 rupee notes have been printed and put out. But, for most of us, 2,000 rupees notes which have been given to us very stingily by the banks, no fault of theirs, are not usable precisely because 500 rupee notes are not available to the ordinary public, because had ordinary public got access to 500 rupee notes, then the 2000 rupee notes would be used as normal units of currency in normal transactions. And honestly, while the case for a less cash society is a strong one, is a very good one, the fact of the matter is that we need to hasten slowly in this regard because India does not have a Cyber Security Act. And India needs to get its banks
Dr. Mehrotra,
security protocol.
Yes, we'll come back to cashless. We'll come back to digitizing our economy because I do believe that those two things are completely separate. The problem that we're having today is the fact that we have bank employees and unions of bankers who have come out into the streets saying they can't handle this kind of stress anymore. Now, the entire system has been held down by our banking employees up till now. What happens if they stop? Sanjay Jha, we're 48 hours away from the deadline for normalcy, and our banking employees say that we're nowhere near normalcy.
You know, Faye, I have worked in the retail part of a couple of banks earlier in my career, and I can tell you right now, I can empathize with their condition. This must be a nightmarish experience for them. Even under normal circumstances, I mean, the whole process of reconciliation of cash and checks is a gargantuan issue. But you know, in the kind of extraordinary circumstances we are in today, you can't imagine the kind of, one is the pressure from the public, totally understandable. The second is the internal challenges within the banking system. You know, the whole audit process, the whole inflow and outflow of cash from RBI, and then handling irate customers who obviously are highly dissatisfied. They have their own needs that are not being met. I mean, this must be very stressful times. You know, I think, when I read newspaper reports and many bank, staff, whether employees or managers died on account of stress, I think you cannot have a more dramatic, statement on terms of the financial collapse we are currently, confronted with. There is a quasi-financial emergency in India that we are not accepting, and that is the hard reality that we need to acknowledge. Can you imagine a democracy where 98% of transactions are cash driven? There is no official fiat. You have to use a digital or a technological driven system. Is being forced today to say you have to do it through some kind of a credit debit card or a new payment mechanism called like a Paytm. You can't force that. Economies evolve their own way of kind of accepting a certain method of transaction. Everybody knows that is an aspired state is to be more transparent,
the truth is, Sanjay Jha,
digital.
this morning,
but you can't suddenly convert an economy where...
The truth is, Sanjay Jha, this morning there were long lines outside SBI bank branches all over Mumbai. Long lines. Now, if people honestly believe that normalcy would return in 2 days, why would they be standing in line today? They just wait 2 days to access their money. They're standing in line and there's pressure being put on banking employees. And I want to bring in now Zafar Islam, and we'll open this, Zafar Islam, we'll open this debate right now, representing the BJP. We open the debate at this point. You've heard what everybody had to say, but I want you to respond on behalf of the government to the banking employees. They've been put in an impossible situation, a situation that they believe is not getting better in the next 2 days.
See, you have to think differently. You have to, I have heard everyone's views. I have heard what the concern, what they have expressed. I have also heard what is the condition as expressed by Sanjay Jha, the bank employees' condition. Let me tell you very honestly, yes, there are a handful of people within the bank who have actually tried to erode and create problem in implementation. There are a handful of employees within the bank who are actually
Islam, are
maybe
you saying
facing
that the
these
problems that
extra
are in the system
efforts
right
they
now are
need to
because
put in,
of
and they
banking
will must be
employees?
facing a different task.
Are you saying the problems in the system now are because of banking employees, whether a handful or
No, I'm saying that, let me just complete. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, but we know the government acknowledges and government has appreciated the efforts put in by the banking employees. We all know that this is extraordinary situation and it had to be done because of the reason which has been expressed by the Honorable Prime Minister. The rationale has been given by the Prime Minister, and the intent of the Prime Minister has been known to be everyone,
Mr. Zafar
including
Islam, I
bank
don't think
employees,
anybody is
all the
arguing
citizens
with
of
the
this country.
intention here.
And
We're
the
talking
bank
about
employees
implementation.
are fully supportive to this idea.
Are they really? Because we're looking at visuals on our screen
I'm
of
coming
bank
back to
employees.
that.
Hang
So
on.
I'm saying that
no.
if-
You're not acknowledging the
if you
problem
s-
at hand, Mr. Islam. You're not acknowledging the problem at hand. Bank employees across the country today came out onto the streets in protest. In Bangalore, in Delhi, in Chennai, in Mumbai, came out into the streets. Are you telling me that they are largely in support? Mr. Venkatachalam, respond to that a handful of banking employees caused problems in the system.
Let me just respond to one.
And no, I'll come back to you.
Let me just
I'll
respond
come back
to
to you.
that.
I'm just opening this right now to Mr. Venkatachalam and Zafar Islam.
He is thoroughly misplaced. He is
Yes.
wrong. He
Go
is
ahead, sir.
wrong.
Yes.
There are 10 lakhs of employees. They are from the society, maybe one or two, some small mistakes. But does he believe that these crores and crores of money that is found in some big places with big people, whether ordinary bank employees and officers are responsible? There must be a leakage. There are a lot of things which the government has done, outsourcing the ATMs. So ATM contractors are directly taking cash from the Reserve Bank of India. We are not involved. Our system will not permit more than 24,000. Even if I want to give, I cannot give. So this is totally wrong. Some few people here and there, some black sheep may be there, but very wrong to paint the bank employees with this. It's very uncharitable. With great difficulty we are working. We have come to the end of it. Now it's no longer possible.
Let me respond. I think you have misunderstood me. I was not allowed to complete. Like everyone was given time, I was not given time to complete and give my opening remarks. I think there is a complete misunderstanding on your part. Let me just respond.
Go ahead, Mr. Islam.
There are 4-5 panelists.
No, we are talking
all of them have been given time. You hardly gave me any time to speak.
Why you are not giving cash to the banks?
No, let me tell you, we completely acknowledge the efforts put in by the banking employees. We know that it's an extraordinary situation and they are responding it to the situation.
That's okay, we will do that. But why don't you give cash? Why are you not transparent? Why Reserve Bank is not telling how much cash has been printed, how much has been supplied? Why there is shortage? We are hardly getting 20% of the requirement. How do we work in the banks?
Let me just give you the statistic. I think
know
since
the
you are talking
statistics,
about the
10 lakh
statistic, the
crores
actual
of
numbers,
shortage of cash is there. Where do we
the
go?
total currency which has been sunk
People are attacking
around
us.
15 lakh
There is no
crores,
security.
out of which,
Simply making a statement,
based on all the research has been done, based on all the reports, around 9 lakh crore was in circulation. Rest was hiding in the cupboard by many people. So, out of this 9 lakh crore, if you see the kind of remonetization has been done, around till 30th probably we'll be able to remonetize to the extent of 7 to 7.5 lakh crore. What is the balance left? You must see that people are using debit card, credit cards, so some digital payment has been also been done. So if you actually see the numbers,
Mr. Zafar Islam, you're not answering the question. You're not answering the question that Mr. Venkatachalam is asking you on behalf of banking employees.
Mr.
Venkatachalam, I want to ask you, and let me just clear this up for 1 second. For 1 second, I just want to ask Mr. Venkatachalam this question. Mr. Venkatachalam, your demand as a banking union is that the government provides cash to bankers.
Yeah.
What will happen if this does not happen to you? If this does not happen, if the banks do not get cash, what is your next step? What have you decided to do?
No. Then the government should honestly tell the people that we are not able to supply cash. They must suspend cash transaction. We will do only credit transaction. Let them tell clearing and transfers, but no cash. Let them openly tell that banks will not deal with cash. Let them tell. We can suspend it.
So Mr. Venkatachalam, are you saying right now?
People we are supplying cash and not supplying cash, they are putting the bank employees into problem. We can't tolerate it.
Can't tolerate it anymore. Mr. Venkatachalam and the banking employees, they're calling out the government. Sanjay Jha?
Can I just respond to that?
Yes.
Can I just respond to that? Can I just respond
You know,
to that?
Faye, can I tell you this? That let me tell you,
No,
it is
see,
the bank
Mr.
staff
Venkatachalam,
that has to interact with the customers. Now, the customer has only... The customer is not going to go to Mr. Arun Jaitley.
Yeah.
The customer is not going to go to Mr. Narendra Modi. He's going to go to SBI, Union Bank, Bank of America, wherever he has an account. And the bank managers have no answers. What can they say? And you know, the problem that I think the JNU professor rightly pointed out, that you have a situation where the government has actually printed rupees 2,000 notes, which if you will, Faye, I'm sure you're aware of it, then Mr. Gurumurthy of the RSS has given them this recommendation that you publish 2,000 rupee notes so that the liquidity is created in the system. Okay. But that liquidity has no value because tomorrow you can't use the 2,000 rupee note.
And I want to bring back Prasenjit Bose on this.
Prasenjit Bose. Exchange value.
Right.
So what they have done is actually aggravated the problem.
Prasenjit Bose, I want to play out these responses. Our reporter went to where the banking employees in Delhi today were protesting. Prasenjit Bose, I want to play out these responses that they gave to our cameras. I want you to respond to the kind of frustration we're hearing from banking employees right now, saying that we will not put up with this for another day. Let's just listen to those voices. And Zafar Islam, please listen to those voices. And I'll come back to this entire panel for responses. Delhi.
I hope you will give me time
Today,
to respond.
The customers are angry with the bank employees as if bank employees are responsible for the troubles which they are facing. It is because of the government and RBI is not supplying the sufficient cash to the bank's branches.
जब हमें सप्लाई नहीं मिली कैश की और हमारा कस्टमर परेशान हुआ, इस देश का नागरिक परेशान हुआ, तो हमने डिमांड करी कि हमें सफिशिएंट सप्लाई दी जाए और उसके बाद एक्सपोज होते हैं कि इनके पास सफिशिएंट सप्लाई देने के लिए मनी प्रिंटेड ही नहीं है.
In some of our branch in central bank, the glass pan doors were broken by the customers, angry customers, because we are not in a position to give them money.
The banks are not provided with the adequate supply. As the government has confessed in public also that out of 14,86,000 crores, they have printed only 1/3 of the currency. Then how a mathematical equation says that when money is not there, how it can be supplied in the adequate manner to the customers.
मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता है, बैंक कर्मचारी खड़े हो चुके हैं, अधिकारी खड़े हो चुके हैं, गवर्नमेंट को घुटने टेकने पड़ेंगे.
Prasenjit Bose, then Santosh Mehrotra, after which Zafar Islam will respond. Prasenjit Bose, those very frustrated banking employees.
Yeah, I mean, what can one say? Whatever they are saying, they are absolute truths. They are speaking out their minds, and I think we should all empathize with them. And they have been going through hell through the past, almost 2 months now. And as I think the Congress spokesperson was correctly pointing out, that they are at the receiving end. I mean, the entire frustration of the ordinary people who are standing in queues and not getting cash and so on, all these withdrawal limits and deposit limits coming one day, going the day after, all these things, the brunt had to be borne by the banking employees. And the main problem is what? This government has bungled on a major policy decision. Whatever their considerations were vis-a-vis this demonetization, even if we do not go into the merits or demerits, whether this will fight black money and counterfeit currency and so on, the simple point that if you withdraw a certain amount of cash, you have to have a proper transparent plan in how fast you are going to replace that cash.
Yes.
Whatever that simple calculation was, I think even a school kid can do that calculation, as the JNU professor was correctly pointing out, that you withdrew 2,300 crore pieces of bank notes and your printing capacity per month is 300 crore. So it's very simple that you just divide 2,300 crore by 300 crore and you will get the number of months it is going to take. So if this calculation even, which is school level arithmetic, if the finance ministry, the RBI and even the prime minister has failed to do, I think they need to owe up moral responsibility for this entire mess that they have put the entire financial system, subjected the financial system to the ordinary people and also the bank employees who are now protesting. So I think that
absolutely.
The government
I want to bring in Dr. Santosh Mehrotra here. There is another problem here, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra. The problem is the 61 clarifications issued by the RBI between November 10th and today. How are banking employees going to navigate through a system where the RBI is changing the rules that quickly? When the notice was sent out saying you have to mark the index fingers with ink, that notice was rolled back the next day. The amounts of withdrawals were changed on a daily basis. A lot of bankers were just waiting for official paperwork to come from the RBI before they made changes in their systems. And while all of this was happening, there were customers lining up outside. How is anybody to navigate that system? Santosh Mehrotra.
You're absolutely right. I want to make 2 or 3 points in regard to the question that you've raised. You see, the way the government has responded to the criticism that 61 clarifications or changes of rules were issued over the last 48 days is that they said, you know, it shows the responsiveness and the empathy that the RBI and the government has shown to the concerns of the population and the citizenry. You know, this kind of defense would have been taken seriously if we had sort of 5 or 6 tweaking of rules over a 50-day period. But 62 changes shows appalling levels of incompetence. So, about a week, 10 days ago, the Ministry of Labour called me in and I suggested very strongly to the Minister of Labour that, look, 99% of the enterprises in this country are unregistered. Secondly, 80% of all workers in our country work in the unorganized sector, in farming, in trade, in transport, in manufacturing. The bottom has been knocked out of their lives because they operate obviously on the basis of cash.
Yes.
Now, this would have been pretty obvious to any member of the Central Board of Directors of the RBI on the 8th of November if there was a member of the Central Board who knew about the unorganized sector. Today I was studying the composition of the Central Board of Directors of the RBI. There's not one person on that board of 8 people or whatever, 8 or 9 people, who knows, I think, anything about, at least their CV doesn't seem to suggest that they know anything about the unorganized sector and how it functions. So I have strongly recommended to the Minister of Labour about a week ago that please, because you are now pushing on the printing of 500 rupee notes.
Yes.
If you don't want, enterprises in the unorganized sector to completely close down, if you don't want unorganized sector workers to lose their jobs because they are returning home, please push the 500 rupee notes out to the 6,000 clusters of the country, non-agricultural clusters, which need this cash desperately for the survival of these small units plus the workers who work in them. So, because there's no point, because these are all units which are located in semi-urban areas, small towns.
Dr. Mehrotra, let me take this problem over to Zafar Islam.
Please push your 500 rupee notes.
Push the 500 rupee notes. Zafar Islam, here, I will, Zafar Islam, promise to give you time to respond to everything. Here are the things that were brought up. Mr. Venkatachalam saying very clearly, what is the government going to do to solve the problems of the banking employees who are frustrated and cannot take this any longer? Prasenjit Bose saying simple mathematics, high school, middle school level arithmetic needed to be done by the government, which was not done. Not enough information is being shared with us. Sanjay Jha, Santosh Mehrotra agreeing on the fact that an amateur level management of this entire problem. Zafar Islam, respond.
I think first I will respond to Mr. Venkatachalam that Mr. Venkatachalam, yes, we appreciate the support extended by the banking community as a whole. I myself have been an ex-banker. Mr. Sanjay Jha is there. We know the working of the bank. I know the people have gone through very difficult times, but the pain is behind us. More or less pain is behind us because for 2 reasons. And this will I address to Mr. Prasenjit also, that his assumption is factually incorrect. That the printing will start from day 0, day 1 when the announcement was after demonetization was announced. Actually, the 5 lakh crore has already been printed and was in place for remonetization. It was done in very calibrated manner. It was put in the banking system, and printing press is working more than its capacity. over time to ensure that the sufficient currency is in the system, and that's why I said earlier that around 7.5 lakh crore, which needed for the circulation for everyone to function smoothly, for the system to get stabilized. But there is one concern which actually is creating a lot of issues, and I'm sure Mr. Venkatachalam would also agree that everyone has become hoarders these days, because every individual who is actually taking out money from the bank actually coming back standing in the queue instead of spending their money. The banking system, the way it works, that
Mr. Zafar Islam, you cannot tell the citizens of this country to spend their money.
That is because the people don't have faith in the...
Go ahead, Mr. Venkatachalam, respond to that.
No, I'm saying that, please understand what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not dictating, I'm not suggesting, I'm saying, narrating truth, which you must also acknowledge, that people, every single individual waiting for the 30th are not spending money. Money should come back in the system. People should start spending money. But they're all waiting.
They're waiting because obviously...
Mr. Venkatachalam, let me just complete, then if you interrupt that, I think...
Mr. Zafar Islam, they are waiting obviously because there is a crisis of faith at this point. That nobody in this country knows what announcement is going to come on the 30th and what will change.
No. We can't justify because we have come to an end.
The assurances have been given by the Prime
Minister. Employees working in the banks. The type of abusive language.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Government is working and
Prasenjit Bose wants to respond. Prasenjit Bose, please go ahead.
Sell my labor,
work, which has been taken during
all
this
types of bad language.
Let me respond to that to Mr. Santosh Mehrotra, that this decision there is no precedence of this kind of
we don't want explanation. We want solution
of this magnitude.
Employees cannot bear this any longer.
Can I make a point?
Okay, gentlemen, one at a time. Zafar Islam.
You had a currency of higher denomination to the extent of 86%
Zafar
because of UPA
Zafar
government.
Islam, 1 second, sir. 1 second, sir.
I want to respond to Mr. Zafar Islam.
I'll give everybody a chance to respond to Mr. Zafar Islam. Zafar Islam, I think what Mr. Venkatachalam is pointing out very clearly is that none of the responses you gave us included a solution.
Respond to everyone.
No. You did not. None of what you said included a solution. Prasenjit Bose wants to come in right now. Prasenjit Bose, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, two things to the BJP spokesperson.
No, this is my question. Whether bank employees are paid to get abuses from people for no fault of them. My lady employees, they're suffering.
Yes.
All types of bad language we are receiving at the end of the customers. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Mr. Venkatachalam is saying is absolutely correct. But I want to pose two further questions.
Absolutely.
I just want to pose two further questions to the BJP spokesperson. You see, first of all, he has been throwing some numbers. Now, the numbers that he is mentioning or quoting, they have no credibility because he is nobody to shell out numbers. We want the numbers from the RBI. For the past 3 weeks, the RBI has not come out with any numbers, all right? So whatever 5 lakh crore, 3 lakh crore, 2 lakh crore, whatever you are saying, it doesn't mean anything to us. We will believe in the numbers when the RBI comes up with the numbers. Second point is that there is an actual shortage of cash. Now the BJP spokesperson is saying something which is actually not very embarrassing for the BJP. Let me point out why. He is saying that on 8th November itself, the RBI seems to be holding a certain stock of 2,000 rupees notes, which he is saying maybe 2 lakh crore, 3 lakh crore, 5 lakh crore, whatever he is quoting some figure. My point is that a few days back the RBI has clearly stated in response to an RTI application that the very decision to demonetize, the recommendation to demonetize was taken by the RBI on 8th of November. Now, if the RBI had 2,000 rupees notes printed on 8th of November, that means the decision has been taken earlier. And the RBI board did not meet before 8th of November. Then that means who has taken that decision? And it is a clear violation of the RBI Act.
It's a very pertinent point.
The decision has been taken by someone without any recommendation of the RBI. So what are you actually talking about?
Zafar Islam, respond to that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Prasenjit,
I want to respond
to a very crucial point. I think what Prasenjit is mentioning actually tells you that the government had no secrecy whatsoever.
No. It was introduced on 10th itself. Was it printed between 8th and 10th? It was definitely printed. But since the demonetization scheme was announced, the decision was taken on 8th, that printed note of 2,000 was used to remonetize the economy. So what is wrong in it? What is the wrong in it?
That means
if you have a printed, is there any restriction on printing the notes and substitute with a different note? No, all I am asking you, RBI's decision.
Kindly listen
see,
to me.
the printing of 2,000 notes is not directly linked with the demonetization. Demonetization scheme was announced on 8. But when you have something in your kitty which you can use for
I think Prasenjit Bose is making a very, very clear point here. Yes, Zafar Islam, there are rules in the RBI Act.
Faye D'Souza, I want to respond to Zafar Islam.
All right, Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, go ahead. And after which I have a viewer on the phone line. Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, go ahead.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you. You see, it's interesting, Zafar Islam Bhai, that you said that people are hoarding notes. But you need to reflect on why people are so-called hoarding notes. Because most of the 5,000 odd crores that have been put out have been in the form of 2,000 rupee notes. Now, I can't spend 2,000 rupee notes because people don't have enough 100 rupee notes to give back to me. I almost never buy things, or anyone buys things for 2,000 rupees. Now, so that's why I'm saying that people, if they are hoarding, and that's not a fair comment, if they are hoarding, it's out of sheer desperation because they don't have 500 rupee notes to convert it into. If they make a transaction, no one has 500 to give back. So please appreciate that you now need to focus your attention, the government needs to focus its attention on printing 500 and pushing them out to the small towns, the rural areas, the district cooperative banks. Otherwise, you will see the decline in consumption and the decline in the growth rate of the economy way beyond 2 percentage points of GDP. Please appreciate that your own reputation is at stake, sir.
All right, I want to bring in Suman Kumar from Punjab, who's picked up the phone and called us.
Yes. Mr. Mehrotra.
1 second. Zafar Islam, I'll give you a chance to respond. I just want to hear out this one viewer who has called us. Suman Kumar is on the phone line. I've kept him holding for a very long time. Suman Kumar, go ahead. You are on the show.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Good evening to all the panelists.
Good evening.
My question is the whole role of putting this currencies of RBI. So where the RBI is in picture now? RBI is nowhere seen in the picture because the authentic information will be only from RBI.
Okay.
And the people sitting in the chairs in the Delhi should realize that outside the radius of Delhi, the real life begins. All the MPs, all the MLAs should go in the field and take the feedback that actually what is happening on the ground. People have lost their jobs. People don't have money to purchase the daily needs. And RBI and it's just sitting, doing the thing.
All right, Suman Kumar, thank you for calling us. He makes a very, very good point, Zafar Islam.
Absolutely.
That the country lives outside of Delhi, and it seems like this government is completely out of touch. Please respond to the gentleman who just called us.
No, I think, I think, let me respond to that caller. The efforts of the government of India consistently from day one is to ensure that the common citizen of this country should not go through unnecessary pain. Yes, the pros and consequences of this decision has been very well acknowledged at inception itself, and it was debated, and after proper debate, the decision has been made by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was assumed that people of India will go through some pain for some time, and that's why initially itself it was announced that 50 days we need to get this pain out of the system. It's like a labor pain. Women have to go through this pain, and once the baby is delivered, they still is not fully fit, but after some time, the woman feels fit and she's overly happy.
Hang on.
All the concern which has been expressed
Zafar Islam, as a woman and the only woman on this panel, I object to that analogy. I object to that analogy.
I completely object to this analogy.
Please, Zafar Islam, please leave women out of this. I think that was ungraceful, that analogy. I would please ask you, Zafar Islam, to stick to the numbers and the facts. And the numbers and the facts that have been pointed out repeatedly by the members of this panel are only coming. The only proper numbers come out of the RBI. Those are the only numbers we will take seriously. The numbers as of last check on the RBI was 4 lakh crore rupees, nearly 5 lakh crore rupees that have been circulated in the system. Now, that is a third of what should have been.
Way back on 7th of December. You must appreciate that.
But there's been no data since then, Mr. Islam. There's been no data since then.
Enough money has been remonetized.
Where? How? Please tell us.
No.
Because the reconciliation does take time, and I'm sure.
Where is that money? Where is that money?
If that was the case, I have walked into the bank each time in the last month and never been given 24,000 rupees.
No, Mr. Zafar Islam, why should we take your word for it? Where is the RBI information on this enough cash that you are talking about? This is exactly the conversation that we are having, and I'm going to bring in Mr. Venkatachalam here because this is the problem that we're talking about today. The government repeatedly saying enough cash, when there is no cash. The numbers don't support it. And even the number that we have of 5 lakh crore rupees is in response to an RTI application.
Right.
It was not volunteered by the RBI. I don't understand why the RBI is just not forthcoming and releasing this information. Mr. Venkatachalam, enough cash in the system. That is where our problem begins.
Now, let me say, now RBI has become an extension counter of the Reserve Bank. They are no more independent, number one. Number two, whether they are announcing or what, we are hardly getting 10 to 20% of our normal requirement. Where I normally pay out about 2 crores, I am getting 3 to 4 lakhs per branch per day. So that shows there is shortage. Secondly, there is a double standard. On the other hand, they are also telling we want less cash. That means it is a deliberate thing. They want to take out cash from the system. And it is not short supply. It is deliberately done to punish the people in the name of demonetization, whatever it may be. They are not. The government is totally confused and they are misplaced. They are directionless.
Sanjay Jha?
We want cash. Otherwise, you tell there will be no cash. Bank will not deal with cash. You announce it.
Mr. Venkatachalam is making a very relevant point. Just think about it.
Yes.
That 86% of currency was overnight abruptly terminated in terms of value. Now you have 15% cash remaining, which is going to be treated as legal tender to service what was earlier just a few hours before 100% is reduced to being serviced by 15% of available cash. Shouldn't even a kindergarten child could tell you that is so elementary that the government should have known that you're going to face a mammoth problem, what they define in the short run. What is the short run? As Dr. Manmohan Singh rightly said, in the long run, we are all dead, Mr. Zafar Islam. And this short run is now coming to an end in another 2 days. And let me assure you that I have seen in Mumbai, the commercial capital of India, in the heart of Nariman Point and Fort, where I have colleagues in the banking industry who are telling me that we can forecast not just a demand recession which is going to happen, but the cash crunch will continue for an ordinary individual who, spends it on household expenses and perhaps even gets his wages in cash. So you have created at the moment a mammoth problem. You have no solutions and you're still talking about the digital economy.
Right. So there are two problems here, and I'm bringing Prasenjit Bose.
I think it's Sanjay Jha. No, Sanjay Jha. You said that you will not believe the numbers which I have discussed and I have stated. You will believe only the numbers which will come from RBI. Very well taken. I am explaining the numbers, yet you don't want to accept it. It's okay.
I'm glad you agree.
But the RBI itself has said that they have enough cash to remonetize.
No, won't you agree that the RBI is the central
statement?
bank and this figures
in response to RTI, the RBI has said two things. No, RBI has stated two things.
5 lakh crore rupee, first of all, is not enough.
They have 5 lakh crore has already been remonetized on 7th of December.
Zafar Islam, it's not enough.
And they have sufficient cash.
What about 500 rupee notes, sir? Zafar,
what is not enough?
500 rupee notes.
What is not enough?
I want to bring in Prasenjit Bose. Prasenjit Bose, I see two problems.
500 note, not enough.
Your point is well taken. But why 500 earlier? Let me tell you. Earlier, I used to see also big queue outside the bank on ATM. Today in Delhi, yesterday I was in Bombay. I didn't see the kind of queue we have seen.
Because those ATMs are closed, Mr. Islam.
And we are actually at the end of the tunnel.
Those ATMs are closed,
Mumbai, Hindustan nahi hai. Delhi, Mumbai, Hindustan nahi hai.
You know, I want to point out two things. I'll bring in Prasenjit Bose and
दिल्ली बम्बई हिंदुस्तान नहीं है, लेकिन संजय झा बॉम्बे के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. मैं कल बॉम्बे में था और आज दिल्ली में हूँ. उससे पहले मैं बिहार में था और उससे पहले झारखंड में था. सब जगह देख रहे थोड़ा
Prasenjit Bose, there are massive problems here. First of all,
you will have to go through some problem for some time.
The
but
lie
will get
that 5 lakh crore rupees is sufficient funds, the 5 lakh crore rupees is enough to remonetize India, is still being perpetrated. The truth is that we all know 5 lakh crore rupees is not enough. If you took out 15 lakh, 5 lakh is not enough.
You are making a very strong statement without... No, you are making a strong statement. You must understand the dynamics before making this statement. That who is telling lies to you? Who is telling lies to you?
Prasenjit Bose.
You understand the economy.
No,
you know how much money was in circulation. How much was sucked on 8th of November. How much was actually in circulation. How much has been remonetized? How much paid through digital payment?
Mr. Islam, I accept. I know nothing. I'm just going by what the RBI has told us. Prasenjit Bose, Prasenjit Bose.
Please don't take it personally. Please don't take it personally.
You have become you are behaving as if you know everything and the government doesn't know anything.
Mr. Islam, I'm going by the numbers released by the RBI. Prasenjit Bose, respond directly.
No, I am appalled.
It appears like that. It appears like that government does not understand. The Prime Minister said within 48 hours all the ATMs will work. 48 days are over. 80% of the ATMs are not working. That means the government does not know. It is true. They do not know.
Prasenjit Bose.
See, my point is that I think that it is very appalling what the BJP is basically now trying to say, that they have released enough cash to the system and that people are simply hoarding cash. I don't think that people have any reason. You are basically now putting the entire burden on millions and millions of Indian people and saying that they are hoarding cash. That is why there is not enough of liquidity in the system. And on the other hand, the RBI, is actually not...
It's a ridiculous statement, actually.
You hear me out, please. You hear me out. We have been listening to you with patience. You hear me out. The Reserve Bank of India should first of all immediately come up with the latest numbers of how much cash has returned to the system and how much cash, new fresh currency notes have been issued. Without that, I would request the BJP spokespersons from throwing out numbers from their end, which has no credibility. Yes, denomination-wise, how many 1,000, 2,000 rupees notes, how many 500 rupees notes, how many lower denomination 100 rupees, 50 rupees, all this data first of all should be there on the public domain. And we do not want that data from the BJP spokespersons. We want the data from the RBI, first of all. Secondly, I think the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister should first of all they should plead forgiveness from the people of this country and from the bank employees, from those who have lost their lives. About that 100 people, for no reason, they have lost their lives standing in the bank, long queues in front of banks. The Prime Minister and the Finance Minister should apologize to them for creating this chaos without any reason whatsoever. And then everything should be done.
Can I just respond to you? Can I just respond, please?
Correct. Zafar Islam, respond.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Zafar Islam, respond.
Now we have lost life. What is that to explain in that?
See, first of all, any death, be it you link with demonetization or otherwise, I think we must be sincere and we are always we express our condolences to the families of those who have lost their dear and near ones. So we don't link it with the demonetization scheme.
But why not compensation?
From that,
they have lost their right. Why not compensation? Why government is keeping quiet?
Bank officers have died.
Let's get to the.
No, Mr. Islam, what do you mean don't link it to demonetization? Are you denying the deaths? What do you mean by don't link it to demonetization?
How can you make such a callous statement?
What do you mean don't know? Explain to us, Mr. Islam. Explain to us what do you mean by don't link it to demonetization?
Crude.
All I'm saying that any death should not be politicized.
No, nobody is politicizing anything.
Sanjay Jha's party,
what do you mean? No, that was Prasenjit Bose you were responding to.
And we have seen number of times We do not play with the emotions of common citizen of this country. We do not play with the emotions
You're
of
not
people of
answering the question, Mr. Islam. What do you mean by don't link it to demonetization? Mr. Islam, what do you mean by don't link it to demonetization? Please explain to me.
All I'm saying, just if you have the patience, please listen to me. All I'm saying,
because of demonetization,
any debt, whether it is linked to demonetization or otherwise, we must extend condolences and we should not politicize any death.
Yeah,
it is. I said be it linked with demonetization or otherwise also. There are a number of people dying in Gorakhpur. Mr. Sanjay Jha's party has never even
No, let's not make this. No, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to deviate from the topic. I don't want to deviate from the topic. Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, closing statements.
Stunned by how brazen you are.
Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, and Mr. Venkatachalam, closing statements. Dr. Santosh Mehrotra.
How can we be satisfied if people are losing jobs, our businesses in the unorganized sector are closing down, and because of the decline in rural and urban consumption, demand for products of the organized sector are also impacted. Demand for cars is declining. So how can we be satisfied? Obviously, there are very serious issues which I'm sure the government is concerned about itself. I mean, we sympathize with the laudable objectives of attacking black money, counterfeiting of money and so on. And I think there are good things to be said about this attack on black money, because new people will come into the tax fold and direct tax revenues will rise, and all of that is fine. But it's absolutely critical right now that the 6,000 clusters which account for 80% of the people of the country, where 80% of the people of the country work, in the unorganized sector, must receive cash.
Right.
To talk about a cashless economy or less cash economy for those people who are angutha chhap, illiterate.
Yes, absolutely.
Get 500 rupee notes to 6,000 clusters spread across the country.
The people who are uneducated, and we have in this country the largest population of uneducated adults, they need to be looked after immediately because they cannot go online and they cannot use any of these systems. They're not ready.
Absolutely.
They're not compatible to people who have never done anything more than use a fingerprint.
Very good.
Rahul Rastogi is on the phone line. Rahul Rastogi, very quickly, I'm running out of time. Make your point.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, this is a no-brainer when our country's majority of the business transactions in terms of the retail happen in cash. That we will be applying brakes if we will suck off 86% of the entire.
Yes. Rahul Rastogi, tell me, what is your expectation from the government right now?
So the thing is that a layman also understands that you are going to put brakes on the economy of the country. So then why did this government take such a bizarre action?
Okay. All right. So we got that point. I have less than 30 seconds. Mr. Venkatachalam, I'm going to give you the floor to very concisely make your demands to the government, because this conversation was started for the benefit of the banking union. What do you want from the government immediately to solve your problems?
Exactly. Immediately, government and Reserve Bank should declare whether they can supply enough cash or not. Otherwise, they should suspend cash transaction. Number two, there must be transparency, how much they print, how much they supply, because there is a lot of discrimination, favor, some few selected private banks get, public sector banks don't get. Third, we also want that wherever huge cash is found out, there must be immediate CBI inquiry. How cash is going out, whether ordinary bank employees or from Reserve Bank it is going out, or from any ATM contractors it is going out, it must be made known. And number four, where people have died, employees, public and customers, immediately compensation must be given. And otherwise, we are going to intensify the program. It is no longer possible to bear this agony of the bank employees and officers. Enough is enough. And government has totally disappointed us, and we are going to call for more and more action with the support of the people. We have no problem with the people. We are there to support them, help them, serve them. But government is creating problem for us.
Point taken, Mr. Venkatachalam. I have to wrap up this discussion here. Very clear call there for information. There isn't enough information in the system from the RBI. The RBI needs to make clear to the people how much cash is available, where is it available, how much are you printing, and what's circulating in the system right now, so people know what to expect when they visit their banks. Of course, TikTok, 48 hours to go before the deadline expires. We're going to keep a very close eye on this here on Magicbricks Now. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mbnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MagicBricksNow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at MagicBricksNow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/MagicBricksNow.